Greetings and salutations, folks, and welcome once again, as always, to another helping of Mr. H's Hot Pot. You join me today, sat in the old jalopy, for a quick COVID-19 related vlog, or vlog, as Mr. H prefers to call them, much to the annoyance of many people out there, I'm sure. Now, I haven't done anything on the old COVID-19 situation, not since I wrapped up that series of videos that I was making during the strict part of the lockdown, where we was only allowed to leave the home for essential purposes such as doing a bit of shopping or going out and taking a bit of exercise. And I'm sure many of you out there also left your homes for non-essential purposes during that period, but we won't get into that here, and we won't incriminate ourselves on camera, will we? Now, back then, when I was making those videos, a subject used to come up time and time again, and every time it did, it was a hotly debated topic. It used to generate a lot of comments and a lot of debate, really, and it was that old thorny nutshell of face coverings, or more commonly known as face masks. And the question was always asked, should it be mandatory to wear one or not? Now, at the time, the government was dithering on making it mandatory for the public to wear one when they was out and about, you know, doing the shopping and things like that. Well, it would seem that last night they finally made their mind upon that, and they've decided that as of the 24th of July, it will be mandatory for adults in England to wear a face mask when they're going doing the shopping. You know, they're going to the supermarket or the corner shop or anything like that. They will have to cover the face. Now, there are exceptions to this. I believe if you're under the age of 11, or if you have some underlying medical condition that would impede your breathing and be detrimental to your health, such as asthma, then you will be exempt from this. But in general, adults in England after the 24th of July will have to wear a face mask. Now, how it'll work if you wish to be made exempt from this rule or not, I don't know. Whether or not you'll have to get a medical certificate or a signed letter from your doctor, those details are a bit sketchy. I no doubt they will emerge as time goes on. But it was very interesting when I was making the daily vlogs that many of you, whenever I brought that subject up, you was totally and vehemently against it. You know, you said that should it be made mandatory, that you would refuse, etc., etc. And it's interesting to know that they've brought it in to see if people's attitudes have changed. Because when all's said and done, many of you out there will have probably had to get used to the idea of wearing a face mask in public by going on public transport. I mean, I have the old jalopy for my mode of transport, so I don't use buses and things like that. But if you do, then by all accounts, you've had to wear a face mask for quite some time. So maybe you've got used to it, and maybe you was against it, and you suddenly realised, well, it's not as bad as I thought it was going to be. You know, it would be interesting to get people's thoughts on that. But what I'd be more interested to debate is why the government have chosen to bring it in now at this point in the pandemic. Because when all's said and done, surely it would have made more sense to bring these measures in when people contracting COVID-19 and the death toll was quite high. That would have made more sense to bring it in then, rather than let that pass and bring it in now. I think a bit of a weak excuse that I've read somewhere is that they want to avoid localised outbreaks by asking people, or telling people rather, that they must wear a face mask. It's interesting to note, because you can see what's going to come off here, can't you, Hot Potters? Whoever sells these face masks, they're going to bang the price on. I bet they banged the price on last night as soon as that announcement was read, because that's what people do. They profiteer, don't they, when they get the chance. But yeah, please leave your comments below whether you think it's a good idea or not. I'm personally still in the camp of I don't believe that they work. And the reason I don't believe that they work is I follow a lot of vloggers over in the US, especially around the theme park areas. And Florida's numbers have just exploded of people contracting COVID-19. And I think the death figures have also risen a little bit, but not significantly. So you do have to question, when they've been wearing face masks from day one, why this has suddenly happened, and do they actually work? Now, if you're lucky enough to get hold of a medical grade mask, I believe it's an N95 mask, I think that's the code number for it, then I do believe that they work. But if you're using something that's been designed as a dust mask for the building trade, or you're using an homemade mask made out of a piece of cloth then I believe that they don't work and it's a pointless exercise you wearing one, to be honest. Will I wear one? Well, when all's said and done, Hot Potters, I have to eat, don't I? I can avoid public transport, but I can't avoid buying food. You know, I've got to fill my belly like everybody else. And it would be very unfair of me to turn to Mrs H and suddenly say, well, I don't want to wear a face covering, love, so from now on you'll have to do all the shopping and things like that. So, unfortunately, yes, I will have to bow to wearing one. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do the bare minimum that I'm legally required to do, Hot Potters. So I'll just simply be cutting the arm off a t-shirt, something like that, and using that, rather than going down the route of going out and buying an all-singing, all-dancing mask, simply because I don't believe in it. You know, at the end of the day, if these things really worked, they'd have had us doing it from day one. And there's also the question, when you think about it, of who should pay for these masks. After all, it's the government that's saying it's mandatory that you must go and wear one. So really, they should provide us with one, I think, when all's said and done. I think that's only fair. After all, during the Second World War, when you was required to carry a gas mask at all times, the government of the day provided you with one. And you was expected to look after that. If you lost it or you damaged it, then you had to replace it at your own cost, which is fair enough when all's said and done. But, no, I don't really agree with where the government's gone on this one. And I do think that this it could be the beginning of the shine falling off Boris Johnson. When all's said and done, he's led a pretty politically charmed life so far. No matter what manure he's stepped in, he's sort of come out of it smelling of roses. But once you start threatening people and try to get them to do something they don't want to do, and you back that up with threatening them with a fine, then it doesn't really work, does it? The last thing the British people like, especially English people, is being told what to do. We don't like it, do we? Right then, I'm going to wrap this video up here. I'm going to leave it there, I think. It's just interesting to revisit the old thorny subject of face coverings, or more commonly as they're known as face masks. So I'll throw it out there for you folks, and I'll leave this question with you. Face masks, yay or nay? Until the next time, bye-bye for now.